Okay, everybody, welcome back to the fourth episode of our Crusader Kings 2 tutorial slash Let's Play slash Glacier Simulator 2K16 Irish Spring. So, yeah. In the first videos of the series so far, we have dealt with the basics, the very, very basics of game creation. We've also dealt with a lot of these buttons here. So we've talked about council and laws. I think that was episode 1. Technology and might have been laws and technology episode 2. Military and intrigue episode 3. So this episode is going to focus on factions, religion, and then we're going to see how far else we can get. So let's look at factions. Now, factions are basically when counts or dukes or, basically the vassals under you in the kingdom who are landholders are going to faction against you. Now, factions can be things as innocent as to change a law or increase, council power or decrease the king's power, all the way up to things like independence. What will happen is, say you have this count right here, okay, right? Say he was super angry at me, had like a negative 100 penalty. He might want to become independent. So what he will do is he will start a faction for independence. And when that happens, it'll show up here with his picture, and it'll say, the opinion and what the faction is for. And then what will affect that faction from what is called firing. That's what it's called when a faction actually comes to fruition. It's called firing the faction off. Will be a factor of how many troops are in, how many troops can the people within the faction muster together versus how many troops you can muster up minus the people in the faction. So say I have 1,000 levies and he has 500 levies, the faction power is going to be 50%. Generally, you don't have to worry until it gets up to between 80 to 100%. And once it gets above about 75-ish, I think, 80%, you'll get a little alert up here that'll say dangerous factions. And what that means is you've got a faction that's getting really, really close to being just as strong as you are. And once it gets up to that certain level around 100, there's a chance that that faction will fire, and you'll get a letter that will basically demand something from the members of that faction. So like if it's independence, basically they'll say, you've been a tyrant for too long, yada yada yada, and then you'll have the option of allowing them to basically acquiescing to what they want. Yeah, you can be independent, no fight. Or you can say, hey, I don't like that, we're going to go to war. And then you have to fight them to beat them down. And if you win that war, then all of the people who were in the faction will become imprisoned. And if you lose the war, then they get what they want anyways. So there you go. Starting in Ireland, you're probably not going to see factions. Really, you don't start to see factions until you hit about the king level. That's when you're going to start to kind of have to worry a little bit more about factions. So factions is pretty quick right now just because it's not really too much to worry about in the beginner type game. And then religion, we can see a few different things. So we can see here College of Cardinals. Now this is not something I've done a lot with, but we can see here's the Pope, right? So you can see this is the Pope, and this is what he thinks about us. And then the Preferatus, this is the cardinal who is expected to succeed the current Pope. Then we can see here's the College of Cardinals, which the Preferatus actually comes out of. That's him right there. And we can see how, because these are the guys who vote for the next Pope. So we can see how they're voting. And we can see that this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy, and this guy, and this guy are all voting for, are they? And that guy looks very, very similar to this guy, but it's not. They are all voting, most of them are voting for this Bertoldo of Montagnana. We can see this guy here, Giuseppe of Chieti, is voting for Cosimo of De Centis. So that is that guy on the, yeah, him right there. And then this guy, Cosimo of DeSantis, is voting for Giuseppe. So they're voting for each other, basically. You can the only people who can become Pope are people in the College of Cardinals. And what you can do to influence this, because if the Pope, if the Pope likes you, then you can get the Pope to do things for you. If you right-click on him, you can see some of the things that we can get the Pope to do for us. So, like, Pope can actually give you a title that belongs to somebody else. The Pope can, you can ask the Pope to excommunicate somebody from the Catholic Church, which has a whole host of just great things that come along with it. You can ask the Pope to give you a casus belli to allow you to invade somebody. You can ask for money from the Pope. You can nominate a bishop. You can form an alliance with the Pope. You can start a coalition against the Pope. So it can be very, very good to have the Pope in your corner. Now, these College of Cardinals come from bishops, just regular old bishops. So we can see here my best cardinal candidate. This is going to be the bishop that we have that has the most chance of going into the College of Cardinals. And we can see it's Havard, bishop. He has cardinal appointment score of 202. Cardinal appointment score is a factor of the opinion that is thought of as this guy as a bishop. Secular power goes into it. Opinion of liege goes into it. His traits go into it. His learning score goes into it, and his age. So, like, the older you are, the more chance you have of getting into the College Cardinals. So, if we want to sway this somehow, we have to add into the campaign fund. So we can plus or minus out money to try to get our people elected. As I said, this isn't something I've messed around with a whole lot. It doesn't mean that it's not worth doing. It's just something that typically I would imagine as a beginner you wouldn't really want to mess with. So yeah, that's the religion tab right there. Oh yeah, okay. So here's the Pope. Moral authority, what this means is it is a number out of 100 that affects the conversion chances of characters and provinces and the susceptibility to heresies. A low authority value can prevent the chief pontiff from performing special actions like excommunication. It may also cause instability with various negative events in your realm as religious institutions lose their grip on the populace. So a higher moral authority basically means that the Catholic Church carries more weight, more gravity. So that means that there will be less chance that heretics will pop up in your kingdom, the less chance that you'll have heretic uprisings, less chance that your counties can switch religions over to a heresy. And if any of those things do happen, there's a greater chance that your court chaplain will be able to successfully handle the situation. We can see here that right now we have a 74.9% out of 100, which isn't really that bad. The moral authority of the Catholic Church is derived from, well, we get 20% because it's an organized religion, and then 10% for each holy site that we control, which we control 4 holy sites currently. The one that we don't control is in Jerusalem. And because the Pope himself controls a holy site, that's worth 5% more. His diplomacy score factors in, and his piety factors in. And there are other things that will go into it as well, such as, if we call a crusade on something, but we lose the crusade, then that's a negative. But if we win the crusade, that's a positive. You can see there's these circles right here. Those are spots for what's called an anti-pope, which is when, say the King of France isn't really in good with this pope, but he still wants to be able to excommunicate people and do things like that. He can set up an anti-pope, and then it's almost like there's 2 Catholic churches. It's kind of weird, but the downside to that is that it lowers the moral authority a lot, which means that you're going to have a lot more heresies and things like that. And then we can see our vassal bishops here. So we only have one vassal bishop at this point, and it's because the vassal bishop for this county is under this count. It's Bishop Kolob. We can see right now, you can see this is lit up and not the crown. The mitre is lit up, and that means that he likes us. He likes them more than he likes us. And as you can see, His opinion of the Pope is a 34. His opinion of us is a 21. He likes the Pope because of state diplomacy, and the Pope is charitable, and the Pope is zealous, and also he is the head of religion, so he gets a nice fat bump there. He likes us less because, well, we have short reign, personal diplomacy, but we have some things going for us too. He likes that we're temperate, and he's our steward, so he's on the council. He likes that. And then right now we could, since we have free investiture law, we don't have, if we go to our laws here, we can see, where's it at? Huh, it's not even showing up. I think it would show up once we became a kingdom. But we can see that we can actually appoint his successor. So there are two different kinds of investiture. There's free, and then there's papal. Papal means the Pope himself appoints who follows it up. Free means that we appoint. So what this can be good for is this can be good for, like, anytime you appoint somebody a successor to a bishop level title, they lose all of their inheritance rights. So like this guy right here, our nephew, if he was, if his opinion of us was like super low, like this guy right here, this is my half brother, and if we were worried that he was going to be starting some trouble for inheritance, we would just say, oh well, okay. And now he loses his inheritance completely. If we go into, remember we talked about, where was that at? Inheritance? He will not show up there anyway. So like, let's see. Okay, there's Concobar Mac Donchad. Where's he at? -18. This guy right here. He's gone. You see, he's gone now. Because he lost, once we appointed him that, he lost his inheritance rights. So this is a way, and you'll see me do this under certain successions, that you can get people out of getting land. So like your sons, like your second and third sons, if you don't want them to inherit, you just say, oh hey, take this bishop level title. The downside is you can only do that once they're 16 years of age or older, so keep that in mind. Okay, so that was the religion tab. So we've covered all of these tabs. Whew. All right, let's take a look at the, some of this other stuff over here. So we can see here is our money. This is our current wealth. You can see we have 65 gold. Our monthly balance is plus 2.55. Now there is a screen where we can see this broken down a little bit more. If we go to click on this shield, we can see it breaks down where we're getting our income on a yearly basis. So we can see that we're getting 13.64 gold per year from the county of Tuad Mhain, and base for that's 12.4. It's getting affected by our stewardship of 9%, which that number is coming from here. We have a 9. Fuel tax 6.01, so that's coming from this guy, and that's affected by probably how he feels about us. City tax coming from the mayor, again modified by how he feels about us. And then church tax, as you know, he likes the Pope better, so he's paying the Pope. So what that means is in any year we're making 30.6 gold, and if you divide that by 12, that's how you get to 2.55 a month. If we had any expenses, say we were fighting a war, this would be where our levies would show up, and we could see a yearly total expense as well. Here's our prestige. Prestige is a measure of, I guess you'd say, how popular we are, a measure of our success. Higher prestige total starts to give you confer upon you a benefit, kind of a bonus opinion score with people. The more successful you are, the better people view you. So this can go into the negative, as can this. When this goes into the negative wealth, what can happen is you can start to see corruption in your country, in your county, or in your dukedom, or in your kingdom, and you will have inefficient taxation until you get rid of that corruption. Prestige, we can see we're getting plus 0.63 a month prestige, and that's a factor of we have one county, so that county is giving us 1/10 of a point. We are a duke. We have one duchy title, so that's giving us 2/10 of a point. We have 2 vassal baronies, so that's giving us, each of those is a 1/100th of a point, a 5/100th of a point. And then we have 1 vassal county, which is giving us 1/10 of a point. And then we have the technology plus 19%. If you remember, that technology is called Majesty. Then this is piety. So we're gaining plus 1.79 piety a month. It's all broken down. We gain 1 per month from the trait of humble. We gain 0.063 from some vassal buildings like temples, and then we gain 19% from Majesty. This is our domain size, so it's 1 of 3. That means we are personally holding 1 county, or 1 holding, and we can hold up to 3. And we can see the max size. Our base is 1, king rank base times 1. Ruler stewardship bonus is plus 1. Gavelkind succession plus 0, so because Gavelkind will give you an additional 30% on top of your max. So we have a 9 stewardship, which, so the higher your stewardship, the more you're going to have on your max. This is our vassal limit. This is how many vassals we can hold under us. So for us as a duke, the only thing that's going to count against this is going to be counts. So we only have this 1 count. That's why it's 1 out of 22. So we could have, technically we could have 21 more counts at this point, and we would still be under our vassal limit. And we're getting that limit from, most of it's coming from our laws that we have, plus 14. See, this 6 is our realm size. It's the total number of holdings that are under the control of us and also of our vassals. So you can see, we are holding 1. The 6 represents our realm size. Then Earl Ragvald, he's holding 1. His realm size is 3. And then we can see the 2 vassals, other vassals that are directly under us, Bishop Kolob and Mayor Ruman. And then this is our score. So score is calculated every time your character dies, and it's a factor of, like your prestige and your piety and things like that. So I wouldn't worry too much about score, really. Then we have our date, so 15 September 1066. Remember, we can click this to pause and unpause the game. We can make it go faster, we can make it go slower. Messages will pop up here. So we have higher priority messages, we have low priority messages. And then we have this panel here, which you can actually make go away, or you can lock it into place, or you can add extra things to it. Take things away. So what this shows is our domain. So you can see the name of our capital here is Bun Na Rate, and we can see we're getting 12.4 tax per year from it. We see our fort level, which fort level affects when people try to siege us out, and we can see how many levies we have in this place. So this is the only holding that is directly in our control, so it's the only thing that's going to show up here in our domain. We can see our message rules. So we are currently set to receive messages regarding close family. We will not receive messages regarding independent rulers, which is kind of a good thing because there are a ton of independent rulers in the game, and if we were receiving information about all of them, then we'd be getting tons of pop-ups. We will receive messages regarding direct vassals, and we will receive messages regarding lieges above you. I would recommend don't touch this as a beginning player, just leave it alone. And then at any point in time, we can see what our court, what our counselors are assigned to. In the lower right hand corner, you can see there is a map that you can use to skip around in the world, and there are different map modes. So the very first one is the terrain map mode, and you can use it just to see what kind of terrain each different place has. It's an alternative to just hovering over the county. If if you hover over the county, it will tell you the terrain too. Now that's important to know in war, because different kinds of terrain can confer bonuses to the defender and malices to the attacker. So it's always wise to know what kind of terrain you are currently defending or attacking into, and if there is a river around. So this is the Independent Realms map mode. So this basically shows us the different countries, and if we zoom in far enough, we get the counties. So zoom out, zoom far out, you get the macro picture, and then you get the micro picture. Then we have diplomatic relations. So diplomatic relations can be good because what this does is it's a very quick and dirty way of telling if you have, diplomatically, if you have any claims on anything. Anything that highlights yellow whenever you click on your capital means you have some kind of a claim on. So we can see this is highlighted yellow, and if you look in the box that pops up, it says County of Desmumaine, Earl Murdoch of Desmumaine, potential target Casus Bellis. De jure claim on Desmumaine. Now, de jure claim basically means that we are the de jure liege of this county, because this dukedom here, the Duchy of Mumu, is de jure all three of these counties, and right now this is not a part of this duchy. So that means we, in the eyes of God, we have the right to attack him and assimilate, force him to assimilate into our duchy. We could also attack him to make him a tributary. And what a tributary does, he still is independent, but he pays us a pretty large portion of his gold income every year. And whenever we attack somebody, he is forced to attack them with us as well. Basically, think of it like a junior ally. We can also see that this is yellow. So we have some Casus Bellis to claim Tir Ogain and to claim Argala. And we could also make them a tributary. We have no other claims. We can see our friend here, our count, has a Casus Belli against us. It is the Independence Casus Belli. So he could, at his choosing, decide to declare war on us for independence, if he so chose. What about the guys around here? Does anybody have a claim on us? Looks like no. So that's a good thing. This is the religion map mode. You can use it to see what the current religion is in any area. So as you can see, Crusader Kings 2 is a game of many different religions. But primarily where we are at, we are going to be mainly concerned with Catholicism. Now you can see this is showing up as a more white color than this, and that is because that is a place of a holy site. So we can see it says in the box that pops up, Kent, Duke Leofwine of Kent. So that's who is in control of Kent. It's Catholic, it's Christian, and then it says this county contains Canterbury, a holy site of the Catholic faith. So we can see other ones are Colne. Where else? Santiago, Rome, and Jerusalem. That's the one that that we do not have right now. Okay, so that's the religious map mode. Culture map mode will tell you what kind of culture is predominant in that area. We can see that Ireland is predominantly Irish and Celtic. However, Dublin is Norwegian and North Germanic. Economy, this will tell you the greener, the better, basically. So the more green a county is, the more money it's bringing in. So like for us, you can see this is fairly green, and tax income 55.8. Whereas Galloway here is kind of orangish, and it's only bringing in 26.9. And your tax income is directly related to, tax gathering buildings that you can build and things like that. De jure duchies. This will show, if we zoom out, we can see the de jure duchies that exist in the game. Now, that doesn't mean that somebody actually holds these duchies. It just means these are the pre-existing duchies within the game. So you can see Mumu is a de jure duchy, of which we possess 2 of the counties. Here is the 3rd county. That's why we have that de jure claim on this. Can also see de jure kingdoms. So if we zoom out, this is de jure Ireland. We've got England, Wales, Brittany, Scotland, France, Phrygia, Lotharingia, Burgundy, Aquitaine, Galicia, Leon, Castile. There's tons of them. And we can also see de jure empires. So this would be de jure Empire Britannia, Francia, Holy Roman Empire, Hispania, Italia. These are empires that you can form. You can also form your own empire if you have a certain amount of holdings and things like that. But as a beginner to the game, I wouldn't worry about that. Your first goal is going to be to, our first goal is going to be to conquer everything that's in our de jure duchy. Revolt Risk, this will tell you what the chance is for a peasant revolt within your county. So for us, you hover over it, and green is good. So Revolt Risk 0. See if we can find anywhere that does have Revolt Risk. Okay, you see right there. See, it's kind of a darker green. It's actually bordering on brown. It is 4%, and it even tells you why. The reason that it's 4% is because it's a different culture group and a different religion group. So red, the worse it gets, the closer to red it gets, the more likely a revolt is actually going to occur. Okay. Then we can see dynasties. So what this will do is it will tell you the family name of who holds that current title. So we can see that in the Duchy of Mumu, the family that holds it is the Uabrian or whatever. We can see that England is currently held by the of Godwins, and Scotland is held by the Dunkels. So we've got the Capets in France, the Salians, Holy Roman Empire there, the Himinas, the Dunanids, Abadids, Fatimids, Seljuk Turks, Dukas, Rurikids, that would go on to become Russia, I believe. Then we have the opinion mode. So what this does is we click on this and it tells us what the how these people feel about us. So we can see that again, green is good. So nobody really likes us, but again, nobody necessarily dislikes us. The more they dislike you, the more red it will become. Then we have direct vassals. So we can see that direct vassals under independent rulers. Huh. Interesting. Okay. We can see that that these are vassals under... Oh, this isn't a map that I've really messed with too much before, so I don't know that I really feel comfortable explaining this. Trade zones, not something you need to be worried about as a beginner, but basically it has to do with republics. So we can see that like these different patches of water are claimed by the Genoa family. You can see they have different trade ports along there. We have some Pisas and some Venezias. I guess that's Venice, right? Venice. I'm assuming, even though it doesn't say. And then over here we have some different trade routes. So like this is the Silk Road. Any county that's along the Silk Road, as long as there's no war going on the Silk Road, will get a pretty good tax bump. It's pretty nice. Then we have governments. So you can see the different kinds of governments that are active in the game. As you can see, most of it is feudal. We do have the Iqta system within the Muslim nations. And then, what is this pink thing here? Oh, it's a republic. So that's a republic. And then we've got some merchant republics here. We have nomadic, tribal. What else do we have? Feudal. Yeah, Indian subcontinent's feudal. There's not a whole lot of different government systems in the game, really. And then coalitions. So what a coalition is basically something that's kind of ported over from EU4. if a big country takes over a lot of land quickly, they will start to accrue something called infamy. And once you get above a certain amount of infamy, there's a chance that nations will form a coalition against you. So, yeah. So basically, what that means is, well, it says it's showing us realms that are large enough to be a coalition target, which is kind of weird. I guess there's nobody right now since the game just started that's large enough to be a coalition target. Strange. But I guess nobody's had any chance to really get any infamy yet. I mean, what's his infamy? Yeah, he has no infamy yet. But as he takes over things, that's when the infamy will start to accrue. So what you can do here, you can click on these to get around between them, or you can use the hotkeys, because there are hotkeys, or you can even do this. So let's say you really like the terrain, you like the realm, you like diplo relations and religion and economy. And then you can hit that to get rid of that thing, and then you can just toggle using these if they're your most favoritist ones. If you want to replace them, you just drag them around. We could put religion on all 5 of them if we wanted. But really, all we care about is religion. And we can also just make this whole thing go away, or we can lock it in place so we don't accidentally click on it. Then down here at the bottom, we can see there's a message log. This will show you everything that happens in the game. Everything that happens in the game. I typically leave it off, but if you really enjoy geeking out on this kind of stuff, there's no harm in it. Chronicle. This kind of shows us the different things that happen within our house. Ledger, or main menu. Yeah, this is where you access all your settings. Then we have the ledger, which can be a very interesting tool, but there's a lot to this. So much so that I would say as a new player, I wouldn't even really bother looking at it. But you can access a great wealth of information here. Alright. Click on that, it centers on our home province. We can use this, say if you get a message about so-and-so from this place, and you don't know where this place is. So we're looking for Friesland. You can just type it in and it's going to find it for you. It can be very, very helpful for finding places if you absolutely just do not know where it is. And then, excuse me, the last button is possibly one of the most useful buttons. It's the Find Characters button, and we can use this button to find just pretty much any kind of character that we want in the game. So we can search every character in the game. We can search just within our realm. We can search our vassals, and we can search our court. And then we can define our search through some different context menus here. So we can search for men or women or both. We can search for people who are in prison or are not in prison, married and not married, rulers and not rulers. We can define it by any religion, my religion group, not my religion group. We can define it different culture and adults or children and great houses or no. And you're going to see me use this very, very soon whenever we select a wife, because we're going to want to get this guy married in the next episode. So I think that pretty much covers what you see on this. It only took us 4 episodes, only 4, to get through with covering basically this, and this. It only took us 4 episodes. So basically 3 hours to talk about all that. But there's a lot going on here. So in our next episode, what we're going to do is we're actually going to start digging into the game a little bit. So for those of you who've been waiting with bated breath for that, rejoice, because it's coming. I do apologize, but I felt like there were a lot of things that we needed to talk about. So anyways, if you have any questions, as always, leave them in the comments below the video. I would be more than happy to address them. Otherwise, I will see you guys in the next video. So, until next time, game on.